8:02. The meeting is back in session at 8:02 p.m. We're going to convene the public hearing.
Sure. No, I'll be happy to comment now.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention related to the amendments to Ordinance 3151. After looking at this, speaking to Ms. Marcini, we just want to be clear, this is a clarification of the existing ordinance. We're not raising tax rates. We're not setting a new tax rate that hasn't been advertised or contemplated before by this body. Very clear. As far as the fees go, in sections 2 and 3, and the argument that this is that ordinances shall be limited to one purpose. This has been done in Upper Darby before. 2, the other circumstance with this is this has been part of a holistic budget process. The fees and the taxes correlate as far as the approximation of what residents will pay in Upper Darby. Fees cannot be anything more than the cost of implementation, and we have to make sure that that is reflected in our budget and the proper work that all our township employees do. So I was asked that question by the council president. I wanted to clarify that tonight. As far as my statement as to re-advertising this ordinance, that was really in an abundance of caution. I'm confident that this ordinance tonight, the council can move forward on this ordinance, but obviously points are raised. The mayor and council always listens to these points, and rather than have 2 sets of meetings, wanted to make one possible meeting where if there was a significant problem with the passage of this ordinance, we would essentially not have to do 2 separate meetings, but one meeting on a amended ordinance. So that was everything I tried to summarize. I don't know, Mr. Mayor or Council President, did that summarize what was discussed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Solicitor. We'll now convene the public hearing.
So a couple points now following up to that. My definition of an abundance of caution is do not proceed. It's do what we know is the right way to do it and re-advertise. We know that that would not cause any problems with following the Home Rule Charter. Second, just because you haven't done something before or you weren't caught, for lack of a better term, before, doesn't mean that you shouldn't start doing it properly now. I mean, if one of these fine officers caught me speeding down State Road and I said, but I've sped through here 20 times before and no one said anything, I would still get a ticket. So, but I don't speed on State Road. I don't even go anywhere near State Road. I walk everywhere. So I think because it was declared an amendment and it is clearly an amendment, it was not a clarification because what there was on the page were 2 absolutely different numbers with different equations. The also stated in the first page were 2 absolutely different calculations. So we weren't clarifying anything. You then went and picked and choose and said, do we want the millage at dollars per thousands, or do we want decimal points of a cent on hundreds? That's not a clarification. That's a material modification. But even if it is, I would ask the solicitor his opinion if you're calling it a clarification. Is that considered an amendment? Is clarifying an ordinance with a strike through or a deletion, is that an amendment?
I stated my opinion about the clarification of this ordinance. I don't want to get into a semantic battle with you about clarification and amendment.
I'm not looking to, I'm just asking for your opinion if that's an amendment or not. If you, whatever you say, I'm not addressing that again. And I mean, sorry, so it is an amendment?
I just said we were clarifying this ordinance. There was a motion for an amendment clearly this evening.
So, okay, so they passed the amended ordinance. Thank you.
Be considered.
I don't, wait, to be considered, didn't they?
Subject to this public hearing.
They passed to amend the ordinance.
So they passed to amend the ordinance. Okay, thank you. That's all, yeah, I'm not looking to fight, I'm just like, what happened? I'm just kind of like, Okay, whatever. Then the last thing I would say, like with this or anything, like we are obviously concerned citizens. More than happy to engage with you outside if you want to reach out to us and talk. Let's chat. We just want what's best for for this budget for the township, and we want everything followed in a way that protects the rights of the residents and protects us in situations like this. Please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much.
Judy Duggan again. So I just would like to say, especially to the newer members of council, that a month and a half ago, half a month ago, whenever that was, January 2nd or whatever, you guys got up and you put your right hand up or your left hand on the Bible or something like that, and you swore that you would faithfully discharge the duties of your office with fidelity, and that you will, wait a minute, where is it? I'm messing it up here. That you will follow the Home Rule Charter and the provisions of the administrative code. You did not say that you were going to follow Mr. Kilkenny, whichever road he takes you down off the Home Rule Charter. The Home Rule Charter language is very clear what it says to do. We don't need any degree in English to understand it. We don't need to parse it. It's plainly written. And if we have a reading level that exceeds sixth grade, which maybe about 30% of our high school graduating class have, we should be able to do that. So remember your oath that you swore on the Bible. Thank you.
Joanne Namavong. I'm going to read it again because I just want to make sure you're clear on what you're doing. After the hearing, that's tonight, after we're finished, the council may adopt the ordinance with or without amendment. So I think I heard someone made the motion, Laura, I think made the motion, and someone seconded to amend the ordinance to take out everything about sense. That's an amendment. You said, I think you called it an amendment. I really think you used that word. I don't think Laura made a motion to clarify. I think she made a motion to amend. So after the hearing, the council may adopt the ordinance with or without amendment or reject it. But if it's amended, the council may not adopt it until the ordinance or its amended sections have been subjected to all the procedures herein before required in the case of a newly introduced ordinance. So you have to treat that as though nothing's ever been happened to it before. Nobody's ever seen it before. You have to re-advertise it. It's clear as day, as Judy said, we can read, we can comprehend. It's what it says. And this, I'm not a lawyer. But if any of you vote in favor of this amended ordinance tonight, you probably ought to get yourself a lawyer, well, a different one than this one, because he's not going to defend you on this. But you're going to be sued probably, okay? It's an illegal vote. Do not participate in an illegal vote, please. It's just not worth it. Take the extra week or so it's going to take and do it right, as John said. Let's not shoot first. Like, this is what you're doing. You're getting a gun, you're shooting, and then you're looking to see if you shot the right person. Don't do that. I know.
Is there any members from the public that would like to comment on ordinance number 3151? No? Thank you. I will close the public hearing. I will turn the meeting, this section back over to Vice President Hayman.
Thank you so much, President Tunis. I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 3151 with the previously noted clarification. Can I get a second?
Second?
Second. So there is a motion on the floor by Councilor Hayman, seconded by Councilor Minnick. Any discussion from members of council? Councilor Silva?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so if we look at ordinance number 3151 in the therefore clause, it says ordinance number 3149 shall be amended as follows: text to be deleted as shown with strike through, text to be added with underline. And then we go to where, or the sum of 0.1356 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation of real property for debt purposes, again, to that underlined section, or the sum of 0.00046 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation of real property. We move to the next page, the same being summarized in tabular form as follows. It lists the millage, yes, correctly, but it also lists, again in underline, cents on each $100 of assessed valuation, 0.1356 cents. Tax rate for debt purposes, 0.0046 cents.
Sorry, Matt, did you miss the part that it was struck? That was struck when it was read, when he read the whole thing?
No, I'm aware, but what I'm saying is when we looked at this, and when this was advertised, and when this was put forth for all of us to look at too, by the way, we all have phones and they all have calculators on them. I mean, we should all have had enough sense to look at this. I mean, I'm frankly a little amazed that everybody just didn't notice this. But to be fair, I would be curious too, what members of the public didn't notice this too, because my assessed property tax would have been 27 cents. Didn't anybody like, hey, wow,
affect the
you're
tax
like,
bills.
figure out what their property tax would be next year? 27 cents. Like, we did not clarify this document. We drastically changed it. There is a difference between like removing a comma or not capitalizing something and changing the fact where you're saying right here on this table, the same being summarized in tabular form as mills on each thousands of dollars or cents on each hundreds of dollars. Like both of these are the same. They are not the same, but we removed the part where you could pay 1/10,000th of your property taxes today, and now we vote on it unadvertised. It is wrong. Look, we're going to have differences of opinion. I get it. That's okay. But this isn't a clerical error. This isn't like, geez, man, I forgot the comma here, or we need a space in front of the paragraph. This is a drastic change. That's all I have.
Thank you, Counselor Silver. Any other council members want to comment? Counselor Wentz? Please, can we please keep it down in the audience so we can hear Counselor Wentz?
Yeah, I just want to point out that at the last meeting, when it was introduced, I pointed that out. I told you, we've never had a tax levy ordinance with cents on it. Solicitor Kilkenny, you represent hundreds of municipalities. How many municipalities have ever had a tax levy that had cents on it in your entire career? How many outside of here in Upper Darby? Did they have them? Did they ever have cents on the tax levy ordinances?
I can't comment to other municipalities. I ordinarily don't draft tax levy ordinances or get that involved with tax levy ordinances.
But you see
this has
them, you
been
have to
amended
read
tonight.
them.
Thank you.
Right, so, but you see them and you read them.
I do.
So did you ever see cents on a different tax levy in a different building, in a different area? Not that you remember?
Not that I remember.
Okay. So I've been here on council since 2018. I never saw it. I pointed it out at the last meeting that I had never seen it before. You all voted to introduce it regardless. You didn't think to stop and do the math. The residents did the math. I did the math, but you guys didn't do the math. You just thought I was blowing smoke or I was just, having a temper tantrum. I don't know. But you didn't stop and do the math. And I have to say, quite frankly, we wouldn't be in this meeting tonight if Vice President Hayman, the chair of the Finance Committee, had made sure that his amendment had been added to the last tax levy that you passed at normal meetings. He did, as the chair of the Finance Committee, he's supposed to make sure, especially if you make an amendment to anything as a council member, you better make sure that your amendment is on the ordinance as you had amended it. If he had made sure it was on the ordinance correctly at that point in time, we wouldn't even be here and cents wouldn't have ever been an issue. But if we hadn't called this out, if the residents had not called this out, then you would have passed this with cents on it. And then the mortgage companies, I know my mortgage company, would choose to pay 14 cents over $1,400, would have challenged it. And this township would have not just been on the brink of bankruptcy, but we would have been in bankruptcy because you wouldn't have gotten the $54 million you expected to get from the taxes because you were getting 14 cents on $100,000 for all assessed property. That's what Councilman Silva's bringing up. That's what the residents are bringing up. Council members here, members of the Finance Committee here, did not catch it. They did not do the math. They didn't, you just processed it through. The administration gave it to us. It must be right. And you didn't question it. That's the problem. You didn't question it. You didn't do the math. You didn't make sure your amendment was on the ordinance. That's the problem. You've got to ask, as council, we are supposed to be the oversight for the administration. It doesn't mean that we're evil. It doesn't mean we're thinking they're doing evil things, but we're supposed to be the oversight. But if we're not double checking the numbers, if we're not looking at it and correcting things, we're not saying, hey, my amendment's not here. Hey, you know, you have this as 14 cents for my tax levy. Is that really what you want? If we don't do that oversight as council, then we are going to, you know, if this didn't get caught, if the residents didn't come and question it, didn't give you the math, you were all ready to vote for it. If this math page and formula was not passed out, you know, Diane and Allison moments before said, oh yeah, it's all good, the math is right. But if this math equation was not passed out to you, you would have passed it and you would have put us in bankruptcy instantaneously. I'm just pointing it out as we have to be the oversight for the administration. It doesn't hurt anything to ask questions. It doesn't hurt anything to question the ordinances and make sure it's right.
Thank you, Councilor Wentz. Just wanted to provide clarity from Acting CAO Dobbins or Moscotti. The tax bills are correct, right? They have the yes. Okay. Yeah.
Just for the
Councilor
record,
Blackwell?
it was questioned.
Huh?
Just for the record, it was questioned at the last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Heyman?
Thank you, President Tunis. I just want to address that since the Finance Committee was mentioned. You know, first off, I want to thank our mayor for addressing this, both in to the media when the issue was brought to our attention, but also in his statement last week. I felt that was sufficient, but as the chair of the Finance Committee, I absolutely also accept responsibility for that error not being caught. That's a mistake, and I'm grateful that it was caught and has been corrected. But Councilor Wentz, you're mischaracterizing the situation. I understand that you've raised these concerns, but your concerns have been raised multiple times and have been addressed for example, through the clarification that you made the motion yourself for the ordinance that we're voting on tonight. I recognize that you're frustrated with that, and I appreciate that. But ultimately, I think scolding members of council or the administration repeatedly, if that's something that you intend to do, you certainly have the right to do that. But you know, I'm not going to go into it much further. But again, you know, go ahead.
Thank you, Vice President Heyman. Councilor Banto? Councilor Silva was the first one to speak, so I was letting people speak.
All right. Thank you, President Tony. So I just want to address something here real quick. I think we are elected to do a piece of job over here for our constituents. So what is coming from the public, what is coming from council, all that we are doing here is to make sure that we do the right thing, both ways. So I just want to make that clear. Your being here, you are not enemy to this session. You are part of us. We are all, you know, the same people on the same boat, regardless of differences in ideology. But one thing we can agree upon is Upper Darby. So I just want to touch on this, that this budget, we cannot sit here tonight to hear words flying from left and right. It was questioned. this budget was red flag, it was question, we talk about it. But, Finance Committee, thank you for pointing that out, because we are all on council. But one thing I can tell you, you have people who are specialized to do their final, little touching on it. But we talk about this. So the good thing is, I think the council being transparent over here, it was not swept on the rug to say, well, change number or do that. We brought it back, we revisited the budget, and then we are here to fix it. So I just want to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Banto. Councilor Silva?
Okay, yeah, sorry if I was aggressive before, but hypothetically, and I apologize, I was heated, but if hypothetically, if we did not pass this bill today and say we tabled it or voted to advertise it again, as it is now been amended and changed, what then would be the procedure? So everybody, to be honest, so I'm in understanding, and then everyone else of how this would progress at that point.
So if you tabled it, per your hypothetical, if you tabled it and then voted to reintroduce it as amended, so yeah, that happens, then you need another 7 days to go ahead and advertise that ordinance, and then you can vote on it. You would need to adopt this by February 15th.
Then I would like.
February 14th, I should say.
Okay, but I could not make that motion now because we're already in another motion, or would it be possible for me?
Yes.
To make that motion?
We're having discussion. There's a motion on the floor.
Yes, but you can make a motion to table the motion on
Yeah.
the floor. So I'd like to make that or.
Well,
I'll
I'd like
second
to
it.
make
One
that
second,
motion.
okay, so,
And I
Councilor
second it.
Wentz, please. Councilor Silva has the floor.
Yeah, so I would like to make the motion then to table this table this ordinance as it is. And then, all right, so actually, like, as per my hypothetical again, I'm sorry if,
Is this the motion or?
wait, one moment, it is not. Okay, so if that's the case then, all right, I'm assuming then that we're doing this on the 31st of January, right? So we can get the tax bills out as quickly, as expediently as possible. So if we pass this on the 15th of February, how much does that set that timeline back? Does it set it back 2 weeks? Does it set it back a month? 3 weeks to a month. Okay, so it's not like we're starting from, it's not like we're setting it back a year or something, or and I understand the concern, but I think it's the right thing to do. So yes, I would like to make a motion. I'm sorry, I thought, I can't see her face because of the giant screen, so I didn't know she was making a response.
CEO Dobbins, just wanted to make a response.
This would be the critical cash flow concern, where that was why we called the special meeting, and we're not waiting until February 15th to get tax bills out on time.
There's no runway. There is no runway.
Yeah, thank you. CEO Dobbins?
That being said, I still feel pretty strongly that this ordinance has been changed drastically, should be re-advertised as it has been amended and corrected, so people know correctly what the tax ordinance is and have an opportunity to review it and speak on it as it will be. So I would like to make that motion then to table this ordinance 3151.
I second the motion.
And then introduce the amended version and start this process again. I mean, I get we would have to have another special meeting. I'm like, okay with that, absolutely. Whatever we have to do to get it done as quickly as possible, but quickly as possible and correct is how I would like to see this happen.
There's a motion made by Councilor Silva, seconded by
And I have a
Councilor Wentz, sorry.
And this is a
Question?
motion to,
I-
it's a table.
It's a motion to table the motion made by Councilor Heyman
I have a
to pass ordinance 3151. Is there any discussion on the
I
current
do.
motion?
I do.
One second.
Yeah,
Secretary
well, okay.
Phillips. I just want to make sure.
Okay,
Okay, Secretary Phillips.
okay. I understand both points, okay? But I think what, in my opinion, what I do not understand is we're making this decision. Everybody's always talking, I just want to make sure that everybody hear me. Everybody's always talking about community and how I want to help the community, but we're making this decision. The 11 people are making a decision, and it's you, some Upper Darby people that are here, but it's 90,000 people that live in this community. How do we know what their feelings are? I got the mic. I got the mic. I got the mic. How do you know what their feelings are? So how do you know what their budget is? You don't know how people handle their money because people may have already budgeted their money for their taxes. So you don't know. So you're making assumptions because of you can shake your head all you want to. You're making an opinion, you're making an assumption because you believe, because it's your perception, because you believe that your perception is correct. And I'm not saying that is wrong, but what I am saying is you're making the perception about because you believe that 90,000 other people believe the same thing that you're thinking. You don't know that. You do not know that. You do not know that. You can shake your head all you want to. You do not know that.
Thank you, Secretary Phillips.
You do not know that.
President Tunis, can I say something, please?
No one knows what other people's budget is. That's the point that I'm trying to make. That's the only point that I am trying to make because people budget their money either yearly, monthly, and they may have already have their yearly budget ready.
Doesn't change it.
I'm sorry, and Jess, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Councilor Blackwell. Councilor Brannis?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I'm on Zoom tonight, but it's I can't see you, but I hope you can see me. No, I understand what everybody is saying here. I understand what the solicitor was talking about. I understand what Councilor Wentz was talking about and Councilor Silva was talking about. And when I look at this, the original ordinance that we passed was 14.20, right? And now it's 14.02 because there was the mix up in the typographical error. Now, being a linguistics person, I see how people can read things over and not catch the mistakes. And I understand that people are frustrated that there was a mistake and nobody catched it. I mean, I didn't catch it. People in the administration didn't catch it. Other people on the council who are math wizards didn't catch it. Like, we did not see that coming. So we had to go through this situation. Now, at the same time, what Councilor Billups had referred to is that, yeah, we don't know what other people are going through. And we have people that come to the council meetings, and I'm very grateful that they do because we don't know what needs to happen unless we hear from them. But at the same time, I don't think that there should be a question or a problem continuing with the new ordinance 3151 when it's at a cheaper rate when the one that we already passed was even more. Like, it's baffling to me that there's still a fight over this because we just need to make sure that we have the budget under control, that we can start allocating the funds to the people who need it, to the organizations that we're supposed to be doing or the services that we're supposed to be providing. But we can't do that until this is passed. And it just seems like it's just a big holdup. And I understand I want us to do this legally and by the home rule charter, but it's like, where can we commingle it? Because we're losing out. And then there's going to have to be a repercussion because we are so late on the process, because we're still going through this amending and voting and all the stuff that comes in between us having the ordinance and getting the services and money and everything allocated to the community. So where can we find that middle ground? Is there a way even? I mean, if anybody who's out there in the public, in the seats right now, or anybody else who are up there, I'm sorry I can't be there with you tonight, but is there any middle ground here where we can say, okay, this is what we can do legally. This is where we can go because we need to get started now so there's no repercussions on either end.
Okay, Counselor Brennis, I'll make sure the public will contact you with that information, and I'll make sure to get that to council. I just have some other counselors that are eagerly waiting to speak. Counselor Andrusko?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a motion to call the question.
There's a motion on the floor.
I'll second that.
There's a motion on the floor to call the question. Can I just do it?
Seriously.
Can I have a roll call vote to call the question?
Yes.
For, on the,
Just calling.
right.
Wait, so
This is a
calling the
motion-
question to
Counselor
stop the
Wentz,
discussion.
Yeah. Please, can you guys just be recognized? It's just like school.
So we are calling the question about tape. Stopping, yeah, okay. Stopping the debate on the table. Counselor Heyman,
Yes.
Counselor, Secretary Billups is a yes. Counselor Minnick,
Yes.
Counselor Wagner is excused. President Tunis,
Yes.
Counselor Banto,
Yes.
Counselor Brandis,
Yes.
Counselor Andrusko,
Yes.
Counselor Wentz.
I would be a no because I wanted to mention that if we had a special hearing on the 8th, that would give
Point
the.
of order, that's
7
not a
days
motion,
of,
President Tunis.
Right, well,
Counselor Wentz, can you please just say your vote for the record?
I'm allowed
She
to
said
speak a
no.
little bit before my
She
vote,
said
and
no.
I did, and I gave you my vote, but I also gave you a suggestion of an alternative, which is what I was trying to give you, why I had my hand raised so vigorously as the person who seconded it. That's the reason. But,
Thank you.
Counselor Wentz?
Counselor Silva,
Sure, yeah, yes to call the question.
thank you. Counselor Blackwell.
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 yes, 1 no, and 1 excuse.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I heard her. Okay, so the motion on the floor currently to vote on now is to table, this ordinance 3151.
For that?
Yes. To table ordinance 3151.
Okay. Roll call vote to table ordinance 3151. Counselor Heyman.
No.
Secretary Billups is a no. Counselor Minnick.
No.
Counselor Wagner is excused. President Tunis.
No.
Counselor Banto.
No.
Counselor Brandis.
No.
Counselor Andrusko.
Yes.
Counselor Wentz.
yes.
Counselor Silva.
Yes.
Counselor Blackwell.
No.
Okay. 7 no and 3 yes, and 1 excuse.
Okay, so now the motion on the floor is to pass ordinance 3151. Can I have a roll call vote for that, please, Secretary Billups? Counselor Minnick. Motion made by Vice President Heyman, seconded by Counselor Minnick. I apologize.
Because I don't have many extra blank ones. I don't have any blank ones. So this is,
To vote on ordinance
motion
31.
to approve
Yeah.
as,
Point of order, I thought we voted to call the question on my motion to table ordinance 3151, but I don't remember us calling the question to vote on ordinance number 3151. I mean, did we close discussion on 3151 and call the question?
I'll make a motion to call the question on ordinance 3151 with the clarifications. Can I get a second?
I second.
Now there's a motion.
It's a motion. Seconded by Counselor Minnick.
No,
Counselor
it wasn't.
Brannis.
It was
Counselor Brands,
Brannis.
I apologize.
Now there's a motion on the floor with a second to call the question on the underlying one.
No.
Yes, that's the motion he made.
There is.
Okay, I'm so confused. Okay, so, Counselor Hayman,
Yes.
Counselor Billups. Oh, that's me, yes. I'm just joking. Counselor Minnick,
Yes.
Counselor Wagner is excused. President Tunis,
Yes,
Counselor Banto,
Yes.
Counselor Brannis,
Yes.
Counselor Andrewsko,
Yes.
Counselor Wentz,
Sure.
Counselor Silva,
Yes.
Counselor Blackwell.
Yes.
okay, so that,
Yeah, one excuse.
so now the motion on the floor is the motion that enact ordinance 3151. That's clarified.
I made the motion to amend. It's an amendment.
Wow. Okay, I'm starting in them. Counselor Hayman,
Yes.
Secretary Billups is a yes. Counselor Minnick,
Yes.
Counselor Wagner is excused. President Tunis,
Yes,
Counselor Banto,
Yes.
Counselor Brannis,
Yes.
Counselor Andrewsko,
No.
Counselor Wentz,
I'm going to abstain because I believe it's an illegal vote.
Counselor Silva,
I'm also going to abstain because I believe it's an illegal vote.
Counselor Blackwell.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yes. 1 excuse, 2 abstain, and 1 no.
okay, the next item on agenda is to adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?